Hello friends, in this video we are going to discuss about food web. What is food web? A food web is a detailed interconnecting diagram that shows the overall food interactions between organisms in a specific environment. The study of food webs is important because such webs can show how energy flows through an ecosystem. It also helps us understand how toxins and pollutants become concentrated within a particular ecosystem. Examples include mercury bioaccumulation in the Florida Everglades and mercury accumulation in the San Francisco Bay. Food webs can also help us study and explain how species diversity relates to how they fit within the overall food dynamic. They can also reveal important information about the relationship between invasive species and those native to a particular ecosystem. So how can a food web described? A food web can be described as a who-its diagram that shows the complex feeding relationships of an ecosystem. The concept of a food web is attributed to Charles Elton, who introduced it in his 1927 book Animal Ecology. The interrelationship of how organisms are involved in energy transfer within an ecosystem is critical to understanding food webs and how they apply to real-world science. This diagram shows food web and how does it works. Carrot eat by rabbit, rabbit eat by eagle. Then corn cobs eat by grasshopper, grasshopper eat by either rat or frog. A rat eat by fox, then eagle. Frog eat by snake, then eagle. Then carnivorous plant eat by flies, flies eat by bird, then birds eat by eagle. The increase in toxic substances such as man-made permanent organic pollutants can have profound effects on species within an ecosystem. By analyzing food webs, scientists are able to study and predict how substances move through ecosystems, helps prevent bioaccumulation and biomagnification of harmful substances. The concept of food web, formerly known as food cycle, is usually credited to Charles Elton, who first introduced it in his book Animal Ecology, published in 1927. He is considered one of the founders of modern ecology and his book is a seminal work. He also introduced other important ecological concepts such as niche and succession in this book. In a food web, organisms are arranged according to their trophic level. The trophic level for an organism refers to how it fits within the overall food web and is based on how the organism feeds. Broadly speaking, there are two main designations: Autotrophs and heterotrophs. Autotrophs make their own food whereas heterotrophs do not. Within this broad designation, there are 5 main trophic levels: primary producer, primary consumers, secondary consumers, tertiary consumers, and apex predators. A food web shows us how these different trophic levels interact with each other within different food chains, as well as the flow of energy through the trophic levels within the ecosystem. Trophic levels in the food web. Primary producers make their own food through photosynthesis. Photosynthesis uses the sun's energy to make food by converting its light energy into chemical energy. Primary producer example are plant and algae. These organisms are also known as autotrophs. Primary consumers are animals that eat primary producers. They are called primary because they are the first primary producer to eat organisms that make their own food. These animals are also called herbivores. Examples of animals in these designations are rabbits, beavers, elephants. Secondary consumers are organisms that feed on primary consumers. Since they eat animals that eat plants, these animals are carnivores or omnivores. Carnivores eat animals while omnivores eat plants along with other animals. Bears are one example of a secondary consumer. Similar to secondary consumers, tertiary consumers can be carnivores or omnivores. The difference is that secondary consumers eat other carnivores. An example is eagle. A lion is an example of an apex predator. According to Andrew, the final level is made up of apex predators. Apex predators are on top because they do not have natural predators. Lions are an example. Additionally, organisms known as decomposers eat and break down dead plants and animals. Fungi are example of decomposers. Other organisms known as detritivores consume dead organic matter. An example of a detrivore is the vulture. Energy mobility or movement. Energy flows through different trophic levels. It starts with the energy from the sun that autotrophs use to produce food. This energy is transferred across levels as different organisms are consumed by members of the levels above them. About 10% of energy transferred from one trophic level to another is converted into biomass. Biomass refers to the overall mass of an organism or the mass of all organisms present in a given trophic level. Since organisms expend energy to move around and perform their daily activities, only a part of energy consumed is stored as biomass.